Guyana Cup. 8 proud franchises, each bearing the hunger and passion of a team of warriors. We've got the Long Island Raptors, swift and deadly. The Burbis Lions, proud and fierce. The Essequibo Jaguars, stealthy and precise. The Demerara Eagles, soaring with ambition. The Brooklyn Bulls, charging with unstoppable force. The NYC Rams, unyielding in their resolve. The USA Guyana Panthers, prowling with calculated patience. And the Sharks, the returning champs waiting to sink their teeth into another feast.
So thank you, Nancy. And the Guyana Cup bowled off earlier today in very good weather, cool conditions, with several games across the New York area. Baisley Pond Park, Drew Park, in Brooklyn, out at Marine Park, and not forgetting Idlewild Park up at 223rd. Several games was played across the area as the Guyana Cup got cracking today. Big news from the Guyana Cup, nonetheless. Queen's Sharks struggled a bit in their earlier game, the defending champion from last year, and we saw Essequibo Jaguars at the top of the table. Maximum effort from their toil so far. They top Group A with 4 points, having won both of their games. Burbis Lions is playing pretty well with a couple of games in the bag, and there's 4 points for them also. Welcome, Matt, to the round day one of the Guyana Cup. We've seen some good cricket so far.
Yeah, it certainly was a great day to start things off for the 2025 Guyana Cup. 8 games completed. We were at the Baisley Pond Park ourselves, observing the Demerara Eagles and Long Island Raptors. The weather was fine up until right at the end, just after the winning runs were hit. There was a slight shower, but luckily I think everything had been pretty much wrapped up by then, and the rain wasn't too much. And it doesn't look as if that'll be any further of an issue throughout the next few days. So the Guyana Cup should be uninterrupted, and the action should continue.
All right, so let's go straight into it. Let's talk about 2 outstanding teams, Matt. We always like to get the teams that are doing exceptionally well, and we've got 2 perfect records so far, starting with the Essequibo Jaguars. But Essequibo Jaguars ran into a scare early into their opening game. In fact, things got terribly wrong off the first ball when Tristan Coleman fell.
Yeah, it certainly was not the start that the Essequibo Jaguars were looking for, and it seemed for a while as if the top order really was not firing. And then one of their overseas signings, a man by the name of Abdullah Saeed, came in with a 70 off 52 deliveries, not out, 6 sixes, no 4s, and we know Abdullah well. He deals in 6s almost always. So a big hand from him. And Karamchand Ramnarayan, maybe a bit of an unexpected hero at the bottom of the innings, contributing as well with 24. That saw them get to 146, which with the way the tournament has been going, 146 seems to be a competitive score.
Yeah, this Essequibo team, Matt, you talked about Abdullah Saeed. Already with a couple of half-century in the tournament, he tops the table in terms of runs with 122. But just coming back to this game, they were struggling at 85 for 7. And Karamchand Ramnarayan, along with Abdullah Saeed, saw them to a respectable 145. In reply, that seems pretty good for the Queen Sharks.
Yeah, and it certainly ended up being a cracker of a game. 4 runs in the end is what separated the Jaguars and the Sharks. The Queen Sharks got off to a bit of a decent start. Dominic Rickey, a quick 25. Talha Mumtaz, another one of the overseas signings, really living up to expectations, hitting 67 off 43, but a late collapse. And a late collapse saw the Queen Sharks needing 10 in the final over. And in came David Lachaya for the Essequibo Jaguars, who held his nerve, bowled an incredible final over to see the Jaguars win their first game by 4 runs over the Queen Sharks.
Yeah, the Queen Shark, big knock from Talha Mumtaz, Matt. He got 67, another half-century of the tournament. And he also got a quick, we saw Dominic Rickey at the top of the order with 25. So the Queen Sharks losing 1, winning 1, but the Essequibo Jaguars on top of the table so far in Group A, having won both of their games. We go to another team, Burbis Lions, who has picked up maximum points in their couple of games, Matt. they seem to have a dominating start on just day one of the tournament.
Yeah, certainly, as expected. I mean, looking at the squad on paper, was certainly one of the more powerful squads, and they started off in dominating fashion over the Demerara Eagles. The Eagles got off to a flyer, thanks to Derek Narayan and Shiv Sangalima with a couple of quick cameos, but after that, it was a bowling clinic from the Barbies Lions, headlined by Bhaskar Yadram, 5 for 17 from his 4 overs.
And Matt, just to come in here, this Demerara team, they were batting a 61 for 3. 61 for 3, they were bowled out for 116.
They were 61 for 3 in the 5th over as well. So they were off to, like I said, Sangalima and Derek Narayan got them off flying. And then after that, there was no other score aside from Avi Danpal, who got 17. No other score in the double figures. They were helped a bit as well by 20 extras from the Barbies Lions. They'll want to remedy that in the future, but the Barbies Lions made no mistake. They had a bit of a scare early on. Avin Gangadin dismissed first ball. Kiran Krishna fell for 1. But Kwame Patan Jr., another one of the overseas players. The overseas players have had a good start to the tournament.
Yeah.
Kwame Patan headlining with 59, Devish Rai Prashad with 17, and Raymond Ramratan not out on 34.
All right, so Barbies Lions winning quite comfortable against the Eagles, and then they came back in the afternoon, a dominating performance again, this time against the New York Rams. So the Barbies Lions, they sit on top of the table along with the Essequibo Jaguars in various groups. They're in Group B, and with 4 points, and tomorrow, Matt, they'll take on the Long Island Raptors in what is expected to be a very good game. But I get the feeling that the Barbies Lions will seal the deal in Group B and go up to the maximum 6 points, you think?
Yeah, they'll certainly be favored in that contest against the Long Island Raptors, who fell to the Demerara Eagles. We'll get to that. But the Barbies Lions, they've shown their dominance. They've shown a bit of resiliency as well in the second game we mentioned against the NYC Rams. They were actually 46 for 5, thanks to a 5-for Jagdish Dowlat Ram of the NYC Rams. Got all 5 of those wickets. Completely wrecked the Barbies Lions top order. But again, the resilience and the depth of this squad. Raymond Ramratan with 48, Akeem Diwar with 49. Saw them get to 160 in the end, and that was more than enough as they bowled out the NYC Rams for 46. So definitely some resilience on behalf of the batting lineup of the Barbies Lions.
Yeah, we ran into a supporter of the Sharks. When he saw that score, he was not going to 223rd. But then maybe another 10 overs later, he said he's going to 223rd. So that's how things change quickly for the for that team. Let's talk a little bit about the Long Island Raptors. A very impressive first game for them. And I thought to an extent they held the Demerara Eagles to a very good game. We saw very good batting from Adrian Sukwa and Rohit Dutchin, 115 for the first wicket. That could be a record in the Guyana Cup over the years.
Yeah, and it's certainly been a big talking point of this Raptor side, that opening partnership between Adrian Sukwa and Rohit Dutchin. It got off to a quick start as well in the first game. Sukwa again hitting, I believe he hit 39. Rohit Dutchin got off to a quick start. But this game, the second game against Demerara Eagles, they really kicked off. Sukwa with 44, and then the Beast himself with 84, Rohit Dutchin. Unfortunately for the Long Island Raptors, no other score of substance for them. We saw a quick 10 off 3 from Ershad Ali and a 6 from Devendra Lachman. He came and went quite quickly. They crawled to 169 in the end when they really should have been running to maybe over 180. And in the end, the Demerara Eagles, they showed resiliency with the ball and with the bat. A bit of some issues. We saw Chandrapal Hemraj get them off flying, but after he fell, they began to lose a couple of wickets, and we thought maybe it could end up being a lot closer. But Chris Patton and Avi Danpal kept their cool and brought it home.
Yeah. I think Chandrapal Hemraj played a very responsible knock, Matt. We've always wondered why attacking batsmen continues to attack. Why don't they stay long at the crease? And I thought that Chandrapal Hemraj, batting at number 4, and I talk about responsibility, really batted well. And I think his 63 really saw the Demerara Eagles home. A well-played innings, supported, of course, by Patterson towards the end. And in a game that Demerara Eagles badly needed a win, or probably would have put them in a precarious position coming into tomorrow's last round in the morning. In the end, Demerara Eagles are poised to probably do well in that group because they've got the Rams tomorrow. And from the look of things, Matt, you don't see Eagles losing to the Ram at all.
Yeah, the Demerara Eagles will certainly be favored. It was not a great day for the NYC Rams, having been bowled out for 46 and 77. The Demerara Eagles as well will be in good form, having the win and the 2 points to their name. They'll be in good spirits heading into tomorrow morning. And the Demerara Eagles will certainly look to complete the job and get the 2 points again over the NYC Rams.
Let's talk about Queen's Shark performance today. They've won one, they've lost one. Are they looking like they're on to coming in to the last four and perhaps make another repeat for another final, man? Queen's Sharks?
You can never count out the Queen Sharks, and that's one thing we talked about in the preview of the tournament, is that when a team, especially led by a captain, Karen Ryan, who's been a part of the Sharks setup for a number of years now, you can never count them out fully. Even though it's a new look team, they've got a lot of new pieces coming in. And even though they did lose their opening game, you cannot count this team out. The experience is still there. The championship mentality is still there. And they've still got quality. We saw in the second game as well, they really struggled once again against the USA Guyana Panthers. But again, resiliency has been a topic throughout every team. Almost all the teams have had themselves a bit of a scare. We saw the Berbice Lions have their fair share of struggles. The Essequibo Jaguars struggled a bit. Demerara struggled a bit. The Queen Sharks also had their struggles. And Heminja Ramdihal proved to be the hero, hitting 65 off 40. Talha Mumtaz as well, the overseas signing, got a 25 in the second game. Michael Sultan played a hand as well. So once again, the Queen Sharks, I mentioned before the tournament, they'll be very reliant on their all-rounders to get them through. And some knocks from Ramdihal and Michael Sultan and Talha Mumtaz have certainly been doing that.
So folks, we've seen the USA Guyana Panthers winning over the Brooklyn Bulls, Matt. They've had a couple of good games. I thought that their games with Queen Shark might have been a disappointment for the USA Guyana Panthers. They've won one, lost the other one. What's up with this Panthers team for tomorrow?
Well, I mentioned before the tournament of how potent that pace attack of the USA Guyana Panthers lineup was. And we saw it very early on. Jason Rooney, 4 overs, 4 for 33. But he had a very good start. He rocked the top order, sent back Dominic Rickey, Trevor Henry, Lachman Bisram. So he definitely did some damage at the top. So definitely the USA Guyana Panthers will be looking to rely on that pace attack to see them through, to take wickets early on in the power play. Akeem Dotson as well has been in some decent form around local cricket and so far in the Guyana Cup. And Yannick Elliott hit 5 sixes in an innings of 41 off 29. So still some positives for the USA Guyana Panthers despite the loss.
So when you look at Group A, Essequibo at the top of the order. Essequibo will play the Panthers tomorrow. If Essequibo wins that game against Panthers tomorrow, Matt, they will pick up maximum 6 points. Will certainly put them through to probably Monday morning semi-final, because 6 points is the maximum you can get. They take on the Panthers tomorrow. How is that matching up looking for you?
Well, we've got to give the benefit, and if there was any sort of betting involved, we'd have to say the Essequibo Jaguars would be favored. But the USA Guyana Panthers, I'll tell you what, they're certainly not a slouch. You've got a lot of quality on that team. And again, the bowling lineup could certainly do a bit of damage. We've seen runs have been a bit tough to score. So when you have a good bowling attack, you should do well in this tournament. And the USA Guyana Panthers have certainly got a decent enough bowling attack to cause some damage.
So folks, Essequibo is on 4 points in this group. Queen's Sharks, they're on 2 points. Panthers, they're on 2 points. Queen's Sharks will play the Bulls tomorrow. I suspect Queen's Sharks will go up to 4 points, and that leaves Panthers with faith and their destiny into their own hands. They need to take down Essequibo tomorrow. If not, Essequibo goes for the win. Essequibo will top the table. Queen's Shark, I fancy them winning over the Bulls, and they will go up to 4 points. Panthers will take the number 3 spot. However, if Panthers can topple Essequibo tomorrow in the morning, it becomes an open group with 3 teams tied on 4 points, and we go to net run rate.
Yeah, and it could certainly complicate things even more if, let's say, the Brooklyn Bulls, who gave Essequibo Jaguars a run for their money, remember that Essequibo had posted 161 and the Brooklyn Bulls came back with 149. Hayden Babulal played a blinder of an innings, almost brought it home for the Brooklyn Bulls. So our scenarios could go haywire if the Brooklyn Bulls are able to get a win tomorrow. And if the Brooklyn Bulls get a win tomorrow, and if things play out, we could have a scenario in which we've got a lot of ties going on. Group A is certainly a very eventful group.
So, folks, that's a look at Group A. Let's take a look at Group B. Berbice Lions really having an outstanding Guyana Cup so far, Matt. They've won both of their games after wobbling a little bit at Drew Park, but they muster enough strength to really come back and win. Tomorrow, Berbice takes on the Raptors. That game could go any way, you think?
Yeah, that'll certainly, for me, be the biggest game of the morning. I think a lot of good quality on both of those teams between the Berbice Lions and Long Island Raptors. The Demerara Eagles, you feel maybe have it slightly easier against the New York City Rams if there's an easy game in the Guyana Cup. But from what we've seen from the Demerara Eagles coming off a win and the Rams that have suffered back-to-back defeats, we've got to favor the Demerara Eagles on that occasion. We've got an interesting scenario. Let's say the Demerara Eagles beat the Rams and the Raptors beat the Berbice Lions. You've got a scenario in which you've got a 3-way tie on 4 points, assuming the Raptors and Eagles win. However, if we go the straightforward way and say the Berbice Lions and Demerara Eagles win, then you've got a pretty straightforward group with the Lions topping the group, the Eagles in second, and the Raptors in third. But in T20 cricket, nothing is ever as straightforward as it seems.
Well, that's day one of competition, folks. Most runs so far, Saeed Abdullah with 122 runs in the series, a couple of half-century for him, Matt. Fighting one, realizing that Abdullah bats at 4 these days, but these have been really responsible knocks.
Yeah, certainly, and he's really been the backbone so far of the Essequibo lineup. Has certainly helped them out both games. So a very good start to the season for Saeed Abdullah. Exactly what the Jaguars wanted in their overseas signing.
And Rohit Dutchin trailing him by some 17 runs. Rohit Dutchin, very contrasting style for him because he opens the batting, he bats in the power play, and his job is to really try to break free early and set the stage. Highest being 84 so far. You saw him and Adrian Sukwa. They were quite outstanding today.
Yeah, both games. They got off to a start in the first game, really pushed on in the second game. And yeah, the dominance between the two of them have continued. A big part of that Raptor side, the bulk of the runs have come from those two alone.
Yeah, Adrian Sukwa has really been good. Hemendra Ramdihal with another half-century. So, folks, the runs have been coming. Abdullah, Dutchin, Talha, Adrian Sukwa. We talked about Hemendra Ramdihal getting among the runs. Let's talk about the wickets so far.
Yeah, and it was a very good day for the bowlers. We mentioned the tournament has been slightly on the low-scoring side, and that has been thanks to some very good bowling performances. 3 fifers to talk about, and 2 fourfers as well. But Mario Laban, Jagdish Daulatram, and Bhaskar Yadram all registering fifers. 3 fifers in one day of cricket. How often do you see that? Jason Rooney and Hemendra Ramdihal as well had some good days. 4 for them. And David Lachaya, another name I want to shout out. Remember that last over that he bowled? He needed to defend 10, and he did it with 4 runs to spare. So David Lachaya, even if his name isn't in the most wickets columns as of now, still a very important over from David Lachaya to see the Essequibo Jaguars through.
So the bowling department so far, Yadram at the top of the table with 8 wickets, Jason Rooney on 6. And we've got 4 players, Laban, Ramdihal, Daulat Ram, and Lachaya. David Lachaya on 5 wickets each. I'm tempted to start picking my 1, 2, 3 on teams, Matt, but it's very complicated at this point. We'll have to wait until the morning session completes tomorrow, and then we'll be in a better position. Of course, we have to be in the best position to say which of the top 3 teams. Remember, top-seeded teams from both A and B division will go straight to semi-final number 1 on Monday morning. And of course, top-seeded team in Group B will go to semifinals number 2 on Monday morning. So we look ahead with great anticipation of what will be day 2 of the Guyana Cup.
Yeah, certainly. It was a pretty eventful day today, and the action continues tomorrow. Playoff cricket will start tomorrow in the afternoon. So yeah, a quick tournament, and certainly makes it difficult on every team to get things right, and certainly a lot to play for.
And Matt, you talked about the quick tournament. It's a grueling tournament.
Yeah.
You play every time slot. You
Yeah.
play a game.
Yep.
So it's not like before where you'll probably play a game and you rest.
And then not to mention, a lot of teams probably have to be finishing a game and then getting in their cars, or if they travel in a van or whatever it was, maybe could be going off to somewhere. And, the distance between Paisley Pond, all the grounds are somewhat close nearby, but especially if you're traveling from maybe Paisley Pond or Drew Park to Marine or Idlewild, especially with traffic, could be a bit difficult. So even that, the transportation between one game to another so quickly is also a tough one.
Well, folks, just one more thing. Let's talk about some team scores. We saw Demerara scoring their Demerara Eagles getting 173 against the Long Island Raptors, the tallest so far. We saw also a couple of 160 Barbies versus the Rams, 161 Essequibo Jaguar versus the Bulls, and 158 for Queen Sharks versus the Panthers. So, folks, there you have it. That's day one of the Guyana Cup. We'll bring you more information tomorrow when those information becomes available with a couple more games, a lot of cricket still to be played, and we'll cover day two tomorrow at the Guyana Cup. Until then, goodbye, and you'll hear from us tomorrow.
Well, we do trust that this has been fun and informative. Be sure to come out this Memorial Weekend for some action-packed games. We thank you for listening, and do take care.